Go. Welcome to the November 12th, 2019 regular commission meeting. This is the annual organizational meeting of the Marquette City Commission, and in accordance with the city charter, section 2-2, the city clerk is to preside over the proceedings through the point where the mayor and mayor pro tem are elected, at which point the new mayor will preside over the remainder of the meeting. With that, if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, we'll proceed. Before the commissioners-elect take their oaths, would the two outgoing commissioners join Commissioner Stonehouse at the lectern? You're right. See, I'm pulling up. Absolutely. And then we'll go to the lectern. Commissioner Campana.
Here.
Commissioner Frazier.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Here.
Commissioner Schlegel.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Stonehouse.
Here.
And would Commissioner Campana and Reynolds join Commissioner Stonehouse at the lectern?
Being the outgoing mayor, I have the opportunity to do this and the very distinctive honor to do so. I'd like to present certificates of appreciation to our Mayor Pro Tem, Sarah Reynolds. Sarah is finishing off 6 years on the City Commission, and several of those as Mayor Pro Tem. She has done a stellar job, a real representative of our city and our community, and hopefully going on to bigger and better things. So thank you for all your service.
Thanks, Fred.
Campana is finishing also 6 years on this commission. 3 of those years as mayor, 1 of those years as Mayor Pro Tem, and certainly has been the epitome, I think, of what a Marquette mayor should be in terms of dedication to the community and the city and the citizens within. He is the one that's been out there all the time doing a tremendous amount of work for the community, being present, taking phone calls, helping different citizens with their problems and bringing them to the commission and providing us with really a tremendous amount of leadership. So Dave, thank you very much for all you've done for the community.
And with that, we'll administer the oath of office. If Commissioner-elect Bonzo would meet me at the lectern, please. Underneath the mic. I, Evan Bonzo,
I, Evan Bonzel,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Charter of the City of Marquette,
and the Charter of the City of Marquette,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of the Marquette City Commission
of the office of the Marquette City Commission
of the City of Marquette
of the City of Marquette
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I need 2 signatures, please. Yeah, it's right there. And if you take your seat, please. And if Commissioner-elect Bonzo would join same place. Just repeat after me. I, Andrew Lawrencer,
I, Andrew Lawrencer,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Charter of the City of Marquette,
and the Charter of the City of Marquette,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of the Marquette City Commission
of the Office of Marquette City Commission
of the City of Marquette
of the City of Marquette
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities. Thank you so much.
Two signatures and one for your records. Your nameplates.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Again. Roll call of the new commission. We've got to do a roll call because there's no mayor yet. Commissioner Bonzal,
Here.
Commissioner Frazier,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Lorenzer,
Here.
Commissioner Schlegel,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Stonehouse.
Here.
And with that, you all have ballots in front of you for mayor. Please keep in mind, you must sign the back of each of your ballots according to OMA rules. Congratulations, Commissioner Smith, on a 4-3 vote with Commissioner Stonehouse. If you would now take the ballots for Mayor Pro Tem, and remember to sign the back. Congratulations, Commissioner Hill. 4 votes to 2 separate. If the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem join me. I'll do yours first. You want to step this way? I, Jenna Smith,
I, Jenna Smith,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Charter of the City of Marquette,
and the Charter of the City of Marquette,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Mayor of City of Marquette
of the office of Mayor of the City of Marquette
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Your signature. Congratulations.
Jennifer Hill,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Charter of the City of Marquette,
and the Charter of the City of Marquette,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Mayor Pro Tem
of the office of Mayor Pro Tem
of the City of Marquette
of the City of Marquette
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congrats.
Thank you.
That's for you. Okay. Do you want-
City Clerk, do we need to do one additional roll call?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. Commissioner Bonzo,
Here.
Commissioner Frazier,
Here.
Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Lorenzer,
Here.
Commissioner Schlegel,
Here.
Commissioners, Mayor Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Stonehouse.
Here.
Thank you, Clerk. Next up is approval of the agenda. Commissioners, do we have a motion? Commissioner Stonehouse.
I move to approve the agenda as written. Support.
Bonzo. Any discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, all in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. Motion passes 7-0. Announcements, I have no announcements for this meeting tonight. Brings us to public comment. Public comments may not exceed 3 minutes per person. Please clearly state your name and physical address when making public comments. Also, please note that commissioners cannot immediately respond to public comments. Our chance to do so is at the end of the meeting during commissioner comments.
I have a handout.
To the clerk.
Do you want to hand out my handout? Anybody? I don't know, it's up to them. Did you get my handout? Oh, they can't answer. Okay, I guess my handout is not being distributed to you. And, oh yeah, that too. My name's James Gallant, Marquette County Suicide Prevention Coalition, 538 Yelmer Road, Scandia, Michigan. And, oh, and I see you changed the time again. This is my point. After last meeting, it appears that some of the members of the community may be calling the city of Marquette to task and taking it to court for the Open Meetings Act violations at the last meeting. The Mayor Stonehuss violated the legal rights of the members of the public that were here. And as I was rudely interrupted by the mayor, I was trying to point out to him, which is your handout if you ever get it, that the rules of procedure are very clear on this. It says, the clerk will maintain the official time and notify speakers when their time is up. That had never happened under Fred. And I did notice too, you now that the new mayor, I appreciate that, and good luck and everything. But are you now going to allow clapping in the chambers? Because that was always, and it's in the rules, no clapping. I'd ask you to please have a public hearing. Schedule a public hearing for when you address your rules of procedure. At your next meeting, your rules of procedure come up at your next meeting, right? And you schedule a public hearing and get the opinion of the people of the city of Marquette on these rules of order thing. And this Robert's Rules of Order, and whether it's the opinion of the city that, yes, Robert's Rules does apply. Because it does say here also on page 6 of 10 of your Rules of Procedure, it says Robert's Rules of Order will be used for guidance by the commission in all cases to which they are applicable. It seems unambiguous and very clear. You will do it. The mayor I have a complaint, ethics ordinance complaint, that the mayor injected his own personal opinion, and he said Robert's Rules of Order that the city has does not have to comply with that. And Commissioner Campana said the same thing. Robert's Rules of Order, you don't have to do that. That's their personal opinion. They injected that as the opinion of the city. This is the opinion of the city, these rules. And your oath of offices that you just took are in Robert's Rules of Order. It states as a contract with the people of the city of Marquette to follow the rules and bylaws as written. I mean, you can change them. So if you want to change them, just change them. That's fine. But the bullying that has gone on in this community for generations now, this is part of the reason why we have such high suicidal behavior in this community. Is people feel helpless and hopeless against the bullies. They just come in here and they do whatever they want. And I think even the people of the city of Marquette, very many people come here and participate. Why? Because they get treated poorly by the administration, prior administrations. Maybe you can get this straightened out and start like you did the marijuana ordinance. And it was described as convoluted by the mayor, except for that's what Robert's Rule says. You make a motion. It is improper for the mayor to assign the floor to the clerk. No, that's no motion. You gotta make a motion first. The motion maker gets the first in debate. And they did it all the time. And so please consider the public hearing over Robert and the rules of procedure when you do that. And just to get this stuff straightened out. What's that?
Time.
What's that?
Time is up, sir.
Oh, is the clerk?
Your time is up, sir.
Is the clerk involved?
Your time is up, sir. Next comment, please.
Okay, yeah. That's going to be the Open Meetings Act violation again. Thank you.
Good evening. Margaret Brum, 404 East Magnetic Street. If I look a little funny at you in the panel, I'm used to seeing certain faces in certain spots, and like all of us, I'm going to have to get used to this. Don't worry, I'm not talking about any of you tonight. I think this time is appropriate to talk about two people who are leaving the commission who deserve recognition for their service. The first one is Sarah Reynolds. Is she still here? Okay, well, then I can tell the story in more detail. Last year, I sat in the audience while Sarah Reynolds was on the commission, and we went through elections, and it was a very short meeting, but I had the pleasure of having Sarah Reynolds' mother sit next to me for the entire meeting. And when I say I had the pleasure of having her mother sit next to me for the entire meeting, Sarah Reynolds' mother sat next to a stranger and told me how great her daughter was. In every possible practical and emotional way, telling me how lucky the city of Marquette was to have her, how much her life had revolved around public service, how much she took care of things, and how proud she was of her. And I think that is a fitting legacy for any human being, that their parent will talk to a stranger about them and tell them how great they are. And I thought everybody should know that, and I hope this gets back to her, because it was one of the high points of the night. I'm going to use the rest of my time to talk about Dave Campana and his wife. First thing about Dave Campana and his wife is, as everybody knows, he married above himself. I had the privilege of meeting Sally Davis during the last campaign, and she is a force of nature, and you put the two of them together, and Marquette is so much the better for it. Back to Dave Campana. He's from Crystal Falls, Michigan, which is right next to my mother's hometown of Gaston, Michigan. If you've been to Crystal Falls, there's no easy way to get around. You're either going straight up or straight down. So you always got to be moving, and you always got to be on your feet, and you've always got to be doing something. And that pretty much describes Dave Campana. City of Marquette has benefited from him for over 40 years. He and his wife together have been involved in just about every cause and committee. I know he stood up for small business people because he ran campus pharmacy for many years. I also know he insisted on rules of decorum and politeness in this room, which helped very much keep things under control. But I think his finest moment, and I want to remind everybody, it's hard to follow a legend, and when Tom Baldini left us far too soon, Dave Campana stepped up again to be mayor for the third time, even though his time had come and gone. And he managed to keep all of that together through appointing the second commissioner to be on the committee without an election, and still kept things going. And I think we deserve to be grateful for his service and the service of his family to this community. And that's my statement for tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Jeff Verdo, 350 East Ridge, Marquette. These are my opinions. October 28th, this board approved the Cliffs Dowry zoning, even though all of the roughly 10 souls who spoke opposed it for compelling reasons. Zoning changes are frivolous until it's known what we can legally use the property for. This board's excuses amounted to little more than placing yet another cart before the horse. Also telling was this board's willingness to spend $150,000 to save a road and bridge from erosion, when for years, despite desperate pleas, it failed to address the erosion of Shirus Park and the Lake Superior, including large trees. Priceless parkland that other cities would die to possess meant little. A requested update on the Tombolo was not adequately addressed, along with updates on glass recycling and our Lansing consultant. October 28th, Mr. Fraser left more than just me in utter shock when he said of me, quote, he even threatened one of our mayors in the bathroom one time, end quote. Which mayor in which bathroom? This never happened. His accusation is slanderous. All that comes to mind is an incident of January 30, 2012, but I was threatened by someone who was neither a mayor nor a city commissioner at the time. I reported the incident to then Police Chief Angeli immediately. Because no resolution was pursued, I repeated my account roughly 8 times over the course of years. Never, through all that time, was I ever accused of threatening anyone. Mr. Fraser apparently confused the details to his own liking and made a blind statement that sounded fun to him at the time, like saying, quote, that the library would be better if a certain type of punch was available. He was asked to address the library utterance during closing comment, but instead imposed a defamatory accusation against me over a matter he obviously knows little about. This is reminiscent of a former mayor or former member who claimed I personally attacked 2 officials' wives over their involvement with the boathouse fiasco. She was unable to recall the gist of what was said. I admit insulting that club's integrity in great detail in words I'll never retract, but I never personally insulted any wife. I'd met them and would never have done so. This is the nonsense that those who are attuned to this board's antics are subjected to in members' attempts to divert public attention off key issues and onto the activists. They disregard the specifics. Mr. Stonehouse and Angeli are well aware that I never threatened anyone, yet they neglected to clarify this during their comments minutes later. They were content letting Mr. Fraser's preposterous accusation stand because this made their enemy look bad. It's all about who's who in here, not the validity of what's said. What new information can Mr. Fraser furnish about an incident from way back in 2012? Tonight, he'll either clarify his accusation or retract his mistruth and offer a public apology, or else seek the advice of an attorney. He has no credibility to stand on.
Anyone else for public comment? Anyone else? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Next item is the consent agenda. Commissioners, do we have a motion? Commissioner Stonehouse?
Your Honor, I motion to accept the consent agenda as written.
Thank you. Any second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Lorenzer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, please say no. Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have item 2 under new business. Approve the 2020 City Commission meeting schedule. Commissioners, we have the schedule in front of us. Do we have a motion? It was in the packet.
I move that we approve the Marquette City Commission 2020 meeting schedule as written.
Thank you, Commissioner Bonzal.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Lorenzer. Any discussion? I just wanted to mention that we did change the meeting date in March to be March 16th instead of what it would have been the 9th due to the presidential primary election. And the fact, on March 9th, and the fact that we use this room for that very election. So that's why we made that one change. All in favor of the motion, please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. Motion passes 7-0. We are back to public comment. Public comments may not exceed 3 minutes per person. Please clearly state your name and physical address when making public comments.
Yes, James Gallant, 538 Yelmer Road, Scandia. And I guess for a little clarification on the little, the writings here, I would ask you to please consider addressing the, what appears to be Open Meetings Act violations that were done at the last meeting by the mayor. And as I've been mentioning, is there was several members demanded a point of order. Several members did, and the mayor refused to do that. And he refused to do that, I believe, because of the statement that says that, and I was trying to point out at the time, is that the mayor has absolutely no authority over the public comment time, which is stated very clearly right here. The clerk will maintain the official time. Is that now? And she didn't, apparently, I don't know. This is apparently going to be new for them too, for the administration and for the your employees. And there's obviously a enforcement. There's a warning and removal. The mayor says right in there and said, boom, you're out of order. You out of the room. Take him out of the room now. In direct violation of what the rules are. I mean, it's like nobody knows. And so I would ask this commission and the new mayor to please entertain that point of order that was requested about the public comment. And if you look in Robert's rules again, under point of order, it states the mayor or the presiding officer shall read the rule or have it read onto the record. It shall be published in the minutes, and it shall be entered into a journal. That journal does not, in my opinion, my request to the clerk's office does not exist. In all of the points of order that has been requested by this commission over 100 years, nobody ever wrote it down. Robert's rules have said that the whole time. There's just supposed to be a journal. That's so anytime it comes up again, they say, hey, point of order. Oh yeah, it's in the journal. It's on page 1. It's right there. Yeah, he's right. And then it's over. You don't have to argue anymore about it. And you don't have to get bullied by the presiding officers or whoever is bullying the presiding officer, which can happen too, you know. And that's the point about the suicidal behavior. It's the bullying. See, bullying, and more specifically, a bully victim. A person that is a bully part of the time of the day and a victim the other part of the day, especially for students, for our youth. And when they live their life like that, that is extreme risk factors for suicide. And I believe that contributed to the risk factors of John Keebler and why his demise was suicide. Because of his life, as in you fellas call it compromise and you call it everything, but when it comes up the pike and you know full well, you know they got you, you just surrender to the bullies. And that's how it works. And that I don't believe that's the opinion of the city of Marquette, and that's not the values of the people of the city of Marquette. And so I would ask you to please do that public hearing in order to get the opinion of your constituents on these subjects and try to keep this out of court. And if the mayor would surrender the
Mr. Gallant, your
equipment-
time is up.
would surrender the
Next
equipment to the
public comment,
clerk,
please.
then, this may be able to be
Sir,
resolved.
your time is up.
Thank you. Yes, and the clerk's not involved in any of this? No, not at all. Thank you for
Any other public comment?
saying that.
Good evening, Margaret Brum, 404 East Magnetic Street. I'm here to make the same offer to this city commission that I made to the last one. I've prepared a comprehensive presentation on the history of the Cliffs Dow site. I'm adding to it with additional Freedom of Information Act requests from both the city and the state. It is as comprehensive as I can make it. It is also in a form that is readily digestible for understanding and use. I don't know the time and the place when it's going to become necessary for every member of the commission to know what I know about that site, but I do know that I make the offer in good faith, and that as soon as you want to schedule a work session, let me know where and when, and I will show up. This presentation is the most important piece of technology I've ever studied, the most important message I've ever had to give to people, and something that the more I dig into it, the more I realize I don't think anybody in town knows this but me, but they're pulling down the We Energies power plant out at the island, and that site also has wood tar underneath it. You have to go back to the origins of that site, which before it was a power plant, was used by Cleveland Cliffs to make charcoal. And therefore, you have one issue right now with the Cliffs Dow site. You're going to have an additional issue with the We Energies site as well. And the people who put the wood tar there operated in desperation and in ignorance. The commission that sits in front of me right now can afford neither one of those. Ignorance is not permitted, and desperation has to be replaced by logical thinking. I'm offering this as a resource. I don't care if I get up and you question every slide 6 ways to Sunday. I hope you do. But I'm offering this presentation to you and other groups within town, and I'm going to keep offering it, and I'm going to keep offering it, and eventually people are going to start listening. And the longer you wait, and I'm not being mean when I say this, but the longer you wait to invite me to talk to you, the more people are going to ask why. And I have no answer for that. This is about the 4th time I've made the offer. So there it is. Let me know. You know how to reach me. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Hi, Matt Lutenberger, 1406 Garfield Ave, City of Marquette, here in Marquette. First, welcome to the new candidates or new commissioners. It's always a long fight, but once you're there, I look forward to hearing what you have to say. So please keep an open mind, and we'll try to do the same on this side of the bench. So part of me wants to finish a statement from last week and last time, and I say this because I have a really good friend and a wife who moved into a community that they too thought was cemented over. They too thought it was protected, but they had a lot less contaminants than we do in these 800-page report. So it took them 6 years to witness certain telltale signs of contamination in their 6-year-old. They figured that the crack had happened about 8 years before they had bought the property, or before they had been diagnosed. So they had bought the property about 4 years prior. Nobody had known. It came through the rainwater. It wasn't anything as the wells were getting more contaminated or anything. It was just a seepage. So my point of last week was, I have a very personal story of when government thinks they're doing okay on an industrial site. And I don't mind if you pave the damn thing over and make it a central hub for all these activities that we have downtown or on Lakeshore. I do believe with the weather patterns that we've had, change the subject a second, and the beauty of taking my dog out for a walk for the last 12 years, I was able to take photographs of different storms at different eras or places along Lakeshore. And I've noticed a pattern when I went back. It seems like about 5 years ago we had a really major storm down on M28, and it seems like the storms have been moving up slowly this way. Last one was at Dog Beach. Just keep this in mind, because we are replacing a road. We are going to try to redo it with this riprap or whatever it's called. I don't mind that. But remember, that's super deep water right there. If there are big waves, and they do happen to hit next year or 2 years from now in this location, get an insurance policy. That's all I'm asking for, is somehow can we get this put back in if there's another big storm. Again, I really wish we could do something other than a residential area. Put up a casino, for that matter. I don't really care. But you know, we've got plenty of land that's going to have to be analyzed to the hilt, and I would rather see industrial use or commercial use instead of residential use. That's the only complaint I have, and I think I'm echoed by a few other people. So please keep this in mind. I didn't mean to cause any trouble, but good luck this year, and I hope to see you all next week.
Anyone else for public comment?
Frank Jeff Erdo, 350 East Ridge, Marquette. These are my opinions. New members are asked to realize that until noted, my comments don't pertain to them, other than that they're filling seats, some disgraced over the decades. They're urged to act as team players while thinking for themselves. Refrain from succumbing to the sometimes carcinogenic influence that prevails. We're in sick need of public-minded members added to the few we already have. Ms. Compenzi is the best example, our finest ever. She was outvoted here, but went on to excel in Lansing. New members are asked to address specific comments, not make blanket statements to cover this board's behind, a behind that's overexposed on record. October 28th, Mr. Stonehouse breached our public process when he again interrupted public comment for an unknown reason. Perhaps he confused me with two previous speakers whom he'd experienced trouble with. Mr. Stonehouse is hereby accused twice now of speaking over part of my time. He failed to honor the 3 minutes that this board mandated. He claimed what I said was beneath me. He's thanked for the compliment, but who is he to assess what's beneath me? Nothing I say here is beneath me. This is why I've never given an opinion here on the worst 8 members whom I've endured over 21 years. Elsewhere, I'd gladly express those opinions. May 13th, after Mr. Stonehouse's first alleged violation, he was told, quote, based on what our attorney told us on February 25th, it's alleged Mr. Stonehouse's conduct of April 29th violated the Open Meetings Act as well as the U.S. and Michigan constitutions that we witnessed him taking a sworn oath to uphold. He continues not to handle us all equally, end quote. October 28th, he indicated that he doesn't have to follow Robert's rules to the letter. While this is true, he still must uphold the tenets of the Open Meetings Act as dictated by his superiors. From what I recall of the official procedure, when a questionable statement is made, the chair is to suspend the time and discuss as a group what the person said. This way, the alleged violation is clear. The clock is then restarted when the person resumes speaking. It's been long said that our mayor's main responsibility is to run these meetings. More errors were made October 28th than at any of the 356 meetings I've attended. May our new member please run our meetings more smoothly with a better public orientation. New members are also encouraged to change the mentality so the public may gain trust in this board. In the past, certain members spoke up when our free speech rights were violated. No more. Why the attorney doesn't interject remains a mystery. Instead of consulting him, as I asked of Mr. Stonehouse numerous times, he placed his own subjective understanding of this board's rules ahead of the OMA. He won't consult our attorney because he disliked his prior response, which bolsters my legal argument. He put himself above our attorney, the OMA, and too many others of us as well.
Anyone else for public comment? Anyone else? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Brings us to comments from the commission. Commissioner Bonzal.
I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and I really want to thank everyone who helped out during the city commission campaign, to everybody who voted in the city commission election on November 5th and in the primary on August 6th. Your votes really matter, especially in these local elections. We can have results that are decided by just a handful of votes. And so I encourage everyone who voted this year to continue doing so next year and moving forward. And everybody that didn't vote to please consider making use of your vote in this coming year's election. It's the honor of my life to serve as a city commissioner here in the city of Marquette. And all I can promise is that I'll do my best, that I'll be as transparent as possible, that I'll be as responsive as possible. And to that end, I would just remind anyone that if you have any issues, any concerns, any questions, please go to the city website. It should be updated soon. And you can find my email address, my phone number. Feel free to give me a call or shoot me a text. And I'll also be posting explanations of all the substantive votes that I take here on the commission on my Facebook page as well, if you want to go follow that. So I really appreciate everybody being here, and thank you everyone for your support.
Commissioner Frazier.
sad to see Dave Campana and Sarah Reynolds go. Dave was a great guy, served us very well, was mayor quite a bit, then passed the torch to Tom Baldini. Tom Baldini unfortunately passed away. Dave stepped up, took over again, led the way. He did a great job. He was a great person to deal with, great for the community, great for the commission, did a lot of great stuff. Fortunately, a good target for Mr. Virgil, like all of us been. Mr. Virgil loves to comment about how he's been here for 20 years and been to so many meetings, but he's one person that loves to comment. He's never run for anything. You know, I've said many times, he left now, but if he wants to voice his opinion, he can run for election. It's open to anybody who wants to run for election. I live in the city. You're all going to run for election if they want to run for election. He chose never to do so. He's decided instead to come to our meetings and complain about every city manager we've had, every single mayor, every single board member, except for a few. He's liked and disliked, but that's a different story. And I like, if we get constantly called names, I mean, we get paid to that. I don't like when people bring up people that are no longer with us, like Mr. Kivel, who was a great person, did a lot for the community, did a lot for the state, and we get bullied more than anybody else does. He was never bullied. He loved his job. He loved everything to do, and unfortunately, his life passed on, but that's beside the point. And our city meetings have nothing to do with people's lives. I mean, like, there's so many people living in town, only some people come to our meetings. It doesn't have anything to do with people's lives. Well, commit suicide, it's unfortunate. You know, I'm on number one committee. I hear about it all the time. It's unfortunate, but the city commission meetings, we talk about what's going on with the city. Mr. Virgil loves to comment about every commissioner or the people. It doesn't bring up what's going on in the city. That's what I don't like. And Matt's, you know, the parks are being worked on right now. The road is getting bouldered. Hopefully it will last through the winter until Lakeshore gets moved in through Dell Chemical Site. And that'll be better. It's supposed to be raised up. All the roads will be taken care of, be good. And just, we're working on it, and we'll see a process eventually. We're working with engineers, trying to make sure once the road is moved, it goes up, and all the room between where the old Lakeshore now is will be protected from dunes, rocks, and retaining walls, whatever. And we'll look good when we're done. And congrats to everybody. Thanks, Mayor Campana, you know, Dave, for coming, everybody. And congrats to our new mayor, and good luck for everybody.
Commissioner Lorenzer.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. It's very good to say that. I'm ecstatic to be up here. This is a privilege and an honor to work with all of you. I've been full of gratitude for the past week. This has been a very humbling experience for me. And in the spirit of humility and gratitude, I did want to acknowledge something that hasn't been formally addressed by this body in recent memory. And it's that the city of Marquette, its municipal government, and its territories occupy the traditional, ancestral, and contemporary homelands of the Anishinaabe. We, this government, we're guests here. And so to the people of the Three Fires Confederacy, the Potawatomi, the Odawa, and the Ojibwe, I want to thank you for your hospitality. This perspective is really important to me as we look into the future, an outlook that involves the next 7 generations, especially as it pertains to development, growth, water, sustainability. This is something that I hope to be continuously cognizant. It's especially fitting because of the many contributions. We would not know democracy without Native Americans. And last Tuesday was a celebration of the sanctity of democracy. And I think that election tells us a few different things, with Commissioner Bonsell procuring nearly 40% of the vote. It was clear that the city is ready for a fresh perspective, for new ideas, for a new youthful energy. So congratulations to my colleague and friend, Evan Bonsell. It is going to be a pleasure working with you. My seat, that race, on the other hand, was very, very tight. And winning by 20 votes is so humbling. And that's a good thing, because servitude is about humility. And I want to thank the other candidates for being part of this conversation. On any given day, it could be any one of us sitting up here today. So I want you to know that I recognize that, I'm aware of that, and I hope to absorb some of your perspectives during my term because they're so important. You are leaders, And I now recognize that I do not only serve the people who voted for me, but the entire community, other candidates and their supporters as well. You are constituents, and I serve you, and I hope to do it well. Both the primary election and the general election tells us that every single vote counts. Your voice matters, and this is the people's government. You are power, and we are accountable to you. One person I do want to single out and recognize as someone to whom I'm accountable is former Chief of Police Sal Cervello. Sal Butch Cervello was an Ishpeming native. He served his country in Vietnam in the city of Marquette since 1977, as first a patrolman, then a detective, and finally the chief of police until his retirement in 2001. Sal passed away last Friday. He was my friend, and he was my neighbor. Sal was formative and influential not only in my upbringing, but also my ascension to public servitude. He was still involved and engaged in local politics until the very end. Sal would watch every single city commission meeting. And when I'd offer my occasional public comment, I would get a text from him where he'd praise my comment but scold my lack of decorum. So Sal had a deep respect for his city government. He embedded in me respect for the hardworking people that make it work. He knew my passions, but Sal would always say, Andrew, all this other stuff is great, but don't forget to fund the police department, the fire department, and public works. Do that, and you'll be an okay commissioner. So I still hear Sal in my head, police department, fire department, public works. Got it. We most certainly didn't agree on everything. We came from different eras, but the Cervellos have been supporters of my dreams since the time I was 5 years old. Sal was a sub-in grandparent for me, and he was the best neighbor anyone could ask for. He cared deeply about his neighborhood, his family, his community, and its people. He will be sorely missed. And I am heartbroken that he won't get to see me serve or get married, but I know he would be proud today. I was and still am accountable to people like Sal Cervello. If you knew Sal, he was always watching, and I know he's watching now. So to best honor Sal, I'm formally asking residents of Marquette to consider a contribution to the Marquette Area Public Schools Education Foundation for high school seniors who wish to pursue a career in law enforcement that was very important to him. And I hope the city has plans to formally recognize Sal's service and his passion for the city, and I'm confident that we will. In stride with the great things that are improving with law enforcement is an emphasis on community policing and improving on the relationships between the department and the homeless population. So I'd also like to take this opportunity to remind residents that next week in Marquette is Homelessness Awareness Week. There's a task force that is developing to tackle this topic, and I hope, Mrs. Mayor, that the city can take part in that conversation. An event at the Ordoc kicks off Friday at 6 p.m. On Saturday at 10 a.m., there will be a walk that starts at the Barry Event Center called the Walk in Their Shoes. And I think we need to start a new conversation about homelessness, about low-income people, about working-class families, about the people of Marquette, and offer concrete, compassionate solutions. But it starts with education, awareness, and immersion. So I really hope to see the community out at both events. With that, that is my comment for the evening, but I do want to extend my appreciation to Mayor Smith and Mayor Pro Tem Hill. I'm looking forward to your leadership, and I think together we can accomplish great things. Thank you so much, Marquette. This is the honor of my life to serve you. Thank you.
Commissioner Slogo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem. Congratulations, and gentlemen. Welcome to the commission. It'll be fun to work with you. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad to hear that you've got the head on your shoulders of humility and service and appreciation, because that's really what you're going to have to ground yourselves with in order to trudge forward through the good and the bad and the ugly and the beautiful things that we deal with here in Marquette. And I'm looking forward to working with you all on this. Commissioner Campana, Commissioner Reynolds, thank you for your service. 6 years. If I get that far, it's probably going to feel like I'm about 90, but at any point, thank you so much for everything that you've done for our community. There's been a lot of big-ticket items that have been addressed during your service, and the time and commitment that you've put in is really something to be proud of, and I'm proud to have served with you, and I'm lucky to have been appointed at that point I was, and I hope that someday I can continue my service after the next election. Last month was Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This month is Lung Cancer Awareness Month. I didn't wear my pink shirt tonight. I wasn't, because I didn't have one for lung cancer awareness. But my point is, cancer is obviously, I'm sure it's hit everybody in this room more times than one. I lost my grandmother to breast cancer. I've had my mother-in-law on my wife's side, obviously, has battled it twice and won both times. God bless her. So whether it's breast cancer, lung cancer, any sort of cancerous event, let's work together to make sure that it's more than just an awareness month. It's an awareness year, and we can do what we need to drive things in the direction that's going to hopefully come up with a cure. I can tell you from the personal side, with my wife and her service as a nurse, I think it's probably about a dozen of her 27 years of service to this community, a dozen of them in oncology. It's a tough field to be a part of, but when she comes home with the good stories and the good versus the bad, it's really a remarkable miracle, and we can all thank God for what has been given to us. With that being said, again, welcome to the commission, gentlemen, and congratulations on the election of the mayor and mayor pro tem. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, and I'm looking forward to that. At the same time, I'd like to thank Mayor Stonehouse for his leadership over the past year. I'm going to focus on the good instead of the nonsense that I hear coming from some comments earlier, but I just can't thank you enough for taking the time to lead as mayor this past year, giving me the time as needed in order to ask for whether it's certain questions that we agreed upon or that we differed on, but I really appreciate your service, and thank you for that. That's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Stonehouse.
Welcome to Commissioners Loringer and Bonzell. I look forward to the opportunity to work with you. It's going to be a good year, and I hope I hope we can do as much heavy lifting this year as we did last year. So it's going to be a busy time, and again, I really do look forward to that. City Attorney, this keeps coming up, and I would ask if you could put a stake in it. Is it necessary for this commission, under our rules, to always follow slavishly the Roberts Rules of Order?
It does come up once in a while. We have in our rules of procedure a statement that we will use Robert's Rules as a guide. That's what it is. It's a guide. And the whole purpose of Robert's Rules is really to help boards and commissions to run effective meetings so they can get their business done promptly and efficiently. And that's all this is. It doesn't, and I frankly don't understand where all the comment is coming from. You've never, in my judgment, violated any Robert's rules. I've never called you to task, as I think that last speaker had mentioned. I don't recall that at all, sir.
Well, I appreciate your comments. Thank you. That brings us down to the comment that was made on We Energies and the potential pollution within the site. Obviously, We Energies is a privately owned property. Certainly, they have to, whatever they choose to do with that site in terms of redevelopment, will have to be done in full compliance with EGLE, all the detoxification of the site, all of the activities that are necessary for them to resell the site or to put it into fair production rests with them as the private landowner. The city of Marquette would obviously be concerned with it, as we would be concerned with any potentially polluted piece or contaminated piece of property, but it's literally their problem right now for them to address, and they are in, theoretically, at least what they're telling us, and I believe they'll be in again to give us a briefing fairly soon. It's a good topic for us to talk to them about where they are, what they see, and what steps are being taken. But again, that's clearly within their province. I do need to point out, too, 1975. Anybody remember what happened in 1975? What happened? Well, I'll give you two things. The Edmund Fitzgerald song. And the #1 movie of that year was what? Jaws. But in the city of Marquette, we elected the first female mayor ever, Holly Greer. 1975, she would serve for 3 years. Guess how many ballots it took to have her elected? I thought it was like 52, 53 ballots. So congratulations, you beat Holly's record, and it's about time we had another one. So I wanted to make sure people understood what actually happened here tonight and the importance of that. Let me just ramble on another topic, though, as the outgoing mayor. I want to thank all the city commissioners and particularly Dave and Sarah, too, because, you know, the opportunity to be mayor of Marquette is a very special honor and a very special opportunity. It's certainly the highlight of my political career. It's the highlight of what I've done on the commission, and I think it's really one of the highlights you would have in your life. What most citizens see is what the mayor tonight did, ran a meeting. They don't understand and they don't see the hours of preparation that goes into the ability to do that. They certainly don't see the meetings that go on with various other committees and groups in the city and the city. They don't see the public appearances that are made. They don't see the welcoming speeches given to different groups that come into Marquette to hold a meeting, and you're the mayor that says, welcome to Marquette and all the good things that are going to happen here. You don't see, for example, for example, the Veterans Day service that I was at yesterday on Veterans Day in Jacobetti. You weren't there for anything but to be representing the city of Marquette. And can you think of a better thing to do with your time than to be in an opportunity like that? At one point, I was able to present, for example, the Purple Heart to a wounded soldier who had come back, and the individual who was scheduled to do the presentation was caught up at an airline snafu, couldn't make it. So the mayor of Marquette stood in to be able to do that ceremony. Again, a very rare honor that came, and you had an opportunity to execute that. Meeting with companies or city staff, obviously, over various issues is a continuing thing that the mayor does. Taking calls from citizens 24/7. You might remember when Johnny DePietro was on our commission, that's always what he said, I'm here 24/7. And that's a true statement, because as mayor, you end up fielding those calls. The list is really, really near endless. And the impact that really is on the mayor as you go through life performing these duties. It's postponed vacations. It's travel things that you thought you were going to do that you don't do because duties interfere. It's missed family celebrations because of that additional time that you're putting at the job, or just time away from family. So you really have to have an overwhelming, I think, personal conviction to do the very best you can for the city of Marquette and the residents of Marquette to do the job of mayor. And I'm not blowing my own horn, because every mayor that has been mayor has done this. And certainly Dave Campana is well familiar with it, and I know that Tom Baldini was, I know Tom Turville was. It's a difficult job because of all of the things that you have to do in addition to what you're really seeing. But if you're up for it, again, it's really the best job you'll ever do. It's the best opportunity you'll ever have to meet great people, to work with them, particularly the staff we have in the city. I can think of no better individuals to guide the mayor than certainly the city manager and Ron Keith, our city attorney. They certainly were really very stalwart for me to be able to move through the labyrinth. City staff in general, absolutely fantastic, first-rate people. It may not be common knowledge, but the city operates very lean. There's not a lot of fat in the city. There's not any fat in the city. And the ability to work with people who can function like that is just really wonderful. So my personal congratulations to Jenna and Jen, and being able to step up to these jobs, I think it really is incredible. And I certainly look forward to, again, a very busy and productive year. Thank you for allowing me the time.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
So I have the cold, so I apologize for frog talking to everyone, but I think welcome to the new folks. Thank you very much for the service, for the folks who stepped down after 6 years. a really terrific the service, and it's greatly appreciated. And congratulations to Mayor Smith. Look forward to working with you. I look forward to the this next role in in representing the city, and the honor that I have to sit in this chair and to take part in the many activities that Commissioner Stonehouse was describing. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to this year. I did also want to bring up, I was going to bring up the homelessness meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Lawrencer. I'll be there as well on Friday. And I also wanted to say that we are going to have a work session on Cliff Dow's on December 16th. It's been scheduled for 4:30 here in the chambers. And we have a work session with the Marquette Board of Light and Power here on, which is going to be much sooner. It'll be November 21st at 6 o'clock. And folks, I hope folks can make it. And our next meeting will be November 25th, which is this year, the week of Thanksgiving. And I did also want to say a friend also sent me the list of the women mayors of Marquette, and there have been very few, but there was one other person who was mayor, a woman named Glenda Johnson, served as well, and I had the honor of attending Ms. Neer's funeral service. And it was a really wonderful, wonderful event, and I just celebrate her life and all that she had done for the city, and I look forward to the opportunity to rise to their example. Thank you.
So first and foremost, I wanted to welcome and congratulate Commissioner Bonsall and Commissioner Lawrencer. Welcome to the commission. We're glad to have you. Looking forward to working with you both. Also wanted to again thank Sarah Reynolds and Dave Campana for their 6 years of service. The dedication you provided to the city of Marquette has definitely made Marquette a better place to be, so thank you. Also wanted to thank Fred Stonehouse and Sarah Reynolds for serving most recently as mayor and pro tem. Under your leadership, we certainly tackled a lot of very difficult issues in the last year.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Mayor Pro Tem Hill. Looking forward to working with you. And finally, I wanted to thank the commission for electing me as mayor. I am hopeful and confident that we can continue to work together to move the city forward. I know that we all want what is best for the city of Marquette, and if we keep that in mind, I know we can continue to achieve great things. That's all. City Manager Angeli, anything?
You were too short. I wasn't ready. No, I'm just kidding. Congratulations to everybody as well. I can't leave here without saying that, and thank you to Commissioner Campana especially. You know, he did step in at a time when we had a difficult time here with commissioners that were needed to be replaced, and he did make my job considerably easier during those times, and especially when he had to step in again after giving up the mayorship. And then Commissioner or Mayor Baldini passing away. So I do appreciate that, Dave, and thank you. And congratulations to everybody. Welcome. I met with the two new commissioners, Ron Keefe and I did yesterday. Gave them a little bit of a orientation, and I think we'll be in good hands moving forward. A couple comments about the city. First of all, I'll have open office hours tomorrow at Peter White Public Library from 10 to noon. Unfortunately, I will not be there. However, a representative from my office will be if people would still wish to attend. I want to make a comment about Holly Street. We began construction there of a new stormwater outlet about 2 to 3 weeks ago. We had hoped to have it finished before the snow and frozen weather hit. We were unable to do that. However, the underground work has been done. The paving will not be done until next spring, so if you travel that route, you will notice that the road is gravel or dirt in that area. We will do our best to maintain it through the winter, but rest assured we plan on doing or finishing up the job in the spring. And lastly, the weather also contributed to the demise of our leaf pickup this fall. We try to time that as best we can. We never seem to hit it right. you know, we try to time it before the snow comes, but after the leaves fall, and I think we have like a week there. And we missed it this year, but we won't be able to get to those leaves until the spring, for those of you that did not get collected, and I do apologize for that, but we really don't have another option. So with that, thank you.
Our meeting is adjourned.